Alrighty, so it's been a month, so just catching up. Your party is in the astral plane, or at least your souls are, because your bodies are in Arcana's sanctum back in Flamebridge, and you're helping him to uncover the source of the elemental storms that have been plaguing Ventus. At the risk of opening more storms, Arcana has used his highest level magic to project your party into the stars so that you can seek out some answers. You've hunted astral monstrosities and aberrations, and the only other place you had seen an aberration in your entire life was the Beholder back on the Savannah Island. But now, having fought your fair share of them, including Cloakers and Light Devourers and an astral Beholder named Fimbratos, your party knows that there must be some connection at the very least. It was a tough fight, and he managed to defeat Fimbratos, who bragged about his service to somebody named Merodak, a being of wind, flame, sea, and stone, is what he said. Unfortunately, Mouse was caught in Fimbratos' petrification ray and was unable to resist being turned to stone. But being as that you're not in your actual bodies right now, it's unclear what the consequences to that is. Sundance has teleported your party to find refuge, and you quickly arrived at the site of a figure that none of you have met before, that Mouse knows, but Mouse is not able to talk right now. As you find yourself in another sea of stars, standing with Sundance and a woman who is shining brightly. Let me just sort of temperature check. Did I miss anything? Is there anything else that's like on your mind as you are coming here? Is there, I know that Drada's not here, which is its own sort of, you're not sure where Drada went off to. But having just survived this encounter, 10 seconds ago, what is going through folks' minds as you are being teleported and whisked away to another part in the astral plane?
I think it's definitely just freaking out and panicking and trying to figure out how we fix Mouse.
Yeah.
As you arrive here, I think like as you sort of are ushering Mouse forward, there's not really weight to her here. And when I say that she's turned to stone, mentioning before that you guys are all a little bit spiritual and translucent right now, in this place, her body has become rigid and jagged in ways, but it still has her shape and is still, it's almost more crystalline here, in the way that it is. And as you bring it forward, I have a new little conversation HUD here, which is a little easier to use. Sundance sort of approaches the woman and says, I think your protege might need some help. Not quite sure what you can do. And she sort of like lifts her eyes and acknowledges the party, sort of like looking at each of you for the first time, and says, please bring her here.
I'll hurry her over. Fix her! Can you fix her?
You see her hand starts to light up as she's kind of doing what you can only describe as a scan of some kind, as light shines over Mouse's body. She's not muttering any arcane words, nor is she sort of tracing any sigils of any kind. There's some other kind of magic at play that you wouldn't recognize here. And she seems to be sort of focusing for the moment as Sundance says, let's give her some time.
Well, how much time do we need to give? Because if I remember correctly, time's funny here, but we do have a time limit.
You hear Olive sort of speak up and say, time is different here than it is where you are from. I need but a moment from your angle of perception to figure out what can be done.
Okay.
And Sundance just sort of talks to you guys briefly and is like, well, listen, if anybody can figure this out, it's Olive. You've never met. You might at some point in the future, but I really appreciate you guys helping. That was a bit more dangerous than I think any of us expected. Fimbratos has been kind of rampaging, for lack of a better word, across the stars for, well, I don't want to say, we call them lights here, which is sort of it's not a measurement of time, but throughout the lights, there have been different points in time where we have encountered Fimbratos, and it is good for us to check that one off the list, we'll say.
Is he still here in the astral plane, or is he in another plane of existence now?
In the way that time works, you sort of see, just even with like a passive insight, you sort of see that he's trying to translate things for you in a way that he doesn't know how to. He's something in his head, it makes more sense than the way he's describing it, but he's trying his best. And he says, well, he's still here, a long time ago, but he won't be here in the future. Or at least not that version of him. But anyway,
do you know who this Meridak is? Do we need to worry about them barging in?
Off the top of my head, I genuinely do not. Olive sort of pipes in, still sort of scanning Mouse with her hand, and says, Merodak the Virtuous is what he is known by. Others have called him Gravelmaker and other words. Excuse me, Merodak the Illustrious, not the Virtuous.
Gravelmaker doesn't sound great.
Give me a everybody except Mouse, give me a wisdom check. DC 15, we'll say.
Does this have anything to do with elemental stuff? And can I try to convince you to give me advantage?
You may have advantage.
Okay.
The roll saving throw, but don't matter. I don't have any modifiers, so.
Yeah, fair. I guess this would. I'm trying to think. This. I said wisdom, but it maybe should have been history. But we're gonna keep it. Flint, what I would say with the DC 15 is that you do recognize the word Gravelmaker. I think I would tell you more, except Aesop rolled a natural 20. So I think it's like, as you're sort of going through your mind palace to figure out like, where did I hear that from? Aesop, it's you who sort of like immediately recognizes Gravelmaker was a term used for the being who cursed Ludum, who in turn cursed Neptus. It's sort of like you remember the time that you'd spent back in Ludum's tomb or prison, depending on your perspective, and you remember sort of in your research and in sort of hearing some of the primordial sounds in that place that there was mention of the Gravelmaker, and there was other terms that had been used, but Gravelmaker was what you sort of remember was that it was what the earth elementals would refer to this person as.
Wasn't he like a wizard of some sort that would control the elementals, and then it just got weird?
I don't know how deep your research sort of extended, but there was an element of like, I don't want to say mad scientist about it, but there definitely was that this person was not an elemental, but they were trying to use elementals in some way.
Gravelmaker now does sound familiar from Neptus's storyline. Okay. I relay that information to everyone.
Olive sort of speaks up again and says, Merodach is it is my understanding that Merodach is a Johnny elementalist of sorts. Johnny, who are, the term you may be familiar with is genie, but it's sort of a genie of 4 elements. A uncle, perhaps, of the Genasi. Before there were air Genasi, earth Genasi, fire Genasi, and water Genasi, there were Johnny. She continues to scan over and sort of says, Mouse's condition is tenuous. This is not something that we can cure here. Her soul is intact. The question that I think is most prudent is how will it best merge back with the body? When you return to Ventus, it will be difficult for her in her waking moments.
So you can't do anything here in the astral plane for her?
She sort of lights a hand in the air, and for the first time you start to see these tendrils of silver energy coming off of each of you. You notice that if you're familiar with, like, you might be familiar with this in other D&D terms, but like when you're in the astral plane, you technically have what is referred to as like a soul cord, which connects your physical body to your astral body. I'm not going to get into it all because your characters might not understand much of it at all. But what you see is that you each have these silver cords coming off of you that are sort of illuminated by Olive's light. And not only do you see that they are, that all of your cords are sort of pulling in a singular direction, but you also see that they are sort of connected to each other. You see that all of your cords are tethered to one another. And you see that as you sort of look at hers, you see the tether that is sort of pulling in the same shared direction as all of you. You see that it is sort of frayed almost, like there's a texture like of breaking crystal to it, and it's pulled a little bit more taut than the rest. And Olive says, this is the connection between her astral body and her physical body. The magic I have at my disposal cannot help this. She must travel back through it herself.
So,
I mean, do you, like, will she survive that? Like, do you know? Or is there anyone else here in the Astral Sea that could help, that we could go see quick?
This is a situation that she sort of pauses for a moment and says, as you can see, you are all connected. It is you who must shepherd her back to her body and help her in whatever way you can. That is how the soul will remain intact. This is not something that magic can solve. I encourage you to travel home, and once you arrive, do what you can as she's recovering. It will help her in the days to come.
I'll look at everyone else and be like, do we even know how to travel back?
I think it's sort of just whenever Arcana, like, brings us back.
Yeah, above table, you guys had like a 2-hour time limit. You've spent a fair amount of that traveling. You'd probably have enough to like short rest here, and then you would end up being sent home. But that is, I think that is all that I can truly say at this moment. For now, rest, and when you awake back in Ventus, you should offer her everything you can, and fate will determine the rest. She will wake up. The question is, how much of a connection to her soul, her astral body, will she still have?
Well, we have enough time to get a short rest in, maybe, so we need to have everything at our disposal when she wakes up. Even though that's not a lot right now, at least not for me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure what to really make of that, but we'll, I guess, give it a shot.
Go ahead and hit the short rest button, and you can figure out what you plan to do. It doesn't have to be a game mechanic. If you don't have some kind of ability at your disposal, just think about how you might help somebody, and we'll sort of adjudicate it on the spot. But is there anything else that you would talk to Sundance or Olive about during this time? I would also say, like, at some point, Astriel pops into the conversation as well. And in
I'll ask Astriel. This might be a strange question, but everyone else is humanoid and and you're a very adorable cat. Do you remember who you were before you became this star kitty?
She jumps up on Sundance's shoulder and says, well, I'm a familiar.
Oh,
Always have been, always will be. And she just sort of like rubs up against Sundance, who sort of like pets her on his shoulder. And Sundance says, been with me since the beginning. Very unique friend that I made back home before all this, and some kind of close connection to the stars, and so glad to have her here in this afterlife, quote unquote. Second life, perhaps.
It's always good to have people at your side, right?
Astriel speaks up and says, speaking of that, your friend Drada, he will be on his way. We're going to keep him a little longer.
Is there a particular reason? Like, are they okay? I think.
Just when, what is the guy's name? The purple guy? When he asks, just tell him not to worry about it.
I don't think that's really Arcada's style to just not know something, but okay.
Yeah, Drada probably won't wake up for a little bit, but no, I mean, it's hard to, I don't know that any of us will ever have answers that are satisfying, but Drada is shepherding, the astral body of Drada is shepherding other souls across the astral sea. That's what's happening right now. I can tell by the looks on your face that that's not satisfying.
Well, yeah.
I mean,
the astral stuff is just all new to us.
Well,
so
you've all now attuned to your astral selves, and so you might be called upon. Which is
called upon for what?
For similar tasks. Now, there's some version in each of you who has ascended at some point in time, and should, well, now that you've become one with your astral self, there may be times when you're called upon. Which is above table is the DM's way of saying that if you miss a game, you're going to be teleported to the stars.
Or what I'm hearing is, I'm immortal?
That's, well, I mean, currently, yes. If you die, then no.
Well, okay.
So just don't die.
Exactly.
Okay, I'm just going to be quiet now.
But yes, Strata will rejoin you at the earliest opportunity. If any of your friends are ever zapped out of existence in a puff of stars and light back home, don't worry about it. They will zap back into existence when they are available.
You're confident this will work and won't hurt Drada though.
She sort of does a side head at you and says, Drada, as far as I have known them, has always been fine.
I'll take it.
Mouse, you're currently, petrified. Give me a perception check, a flat roll. I think there's bits and pieces of this conversation that you are hearing. just to sort of level set where you're at. Something, it sort of is like you're hearing this in a crowded space. You are the stars don't themselves make noise in a way that I can describe, but it's perhaps more of a shining white noise that you are hearing your friends mumbling through as you sort of maintain a form of consciousness through this experience you're going through right now. It is unpleasant, but not in a physically painful way. It's more of a, like, I guess I would ask you, what are you feeling as you are not in control of yourself?
I mean, I don't think Mouse is one that's particularly fearful. I think her first instinct is always going to be curiosity, and so I think a little bit, while uncomfortable, she'd also kind of be exploring, well, what does this feel like? What does this mean? Is there anything I can do in this state?
We're over the course of this session, you're going to end up making 4 different rolls that are going to become increasingly high stakes and increasingly high DCs. Here, before you travel back home, I'm going to ask you to make 2 of them. You don't have any reactions. You don't have any help from your friends in this moment. But these first 2 are kind of like the lower stakes ones. So the first roll I'm going to ask you to make is a DC 13 Wisdom save. Okay, exactly 13. Your astral soul, your astral body is a version of yourself that has lived many other lives across other timelines, and you sort of have a brief moment of connection with whoever or whatever that version of Mouse is or was or will be. They've been watching over you for your whole life and nudging things ever so slightly in your favor. This version of yourself represents your halfling luck, which you keep. You maintain your connection to the lucky side of yourself. The next is going to be a DC 15 Wisdom saving throw. Okay. Similar connection to another version of yourself is your halfling bravery. The sickness of your petrification kind of runs deep through your soul, and as you try to push through to your body in these sort of moments that you're trying to go back to Ventus and carry all of your soul with you, you sort of muster. You said a moment ago that Mouse isn't necessarily a person who is afraid, and I think for a moment that was at stake. You might have lost your halfling bravery, but you have succeeded. You've managed to calm yourself through this return trip home. The last 2 rolls will resolve soon. They are much higher stakes. But coming back to the party, any final questions for these NPCs before you are whisked home?
I can't think of anything that I would ask.
So not a question for the NPCs, but feel like some time ago we had sort of homebrewed my
Flash of genius.
Flash of Genius to let me switch spells that I had prepared.
Yes, that's fine.
Okay. I feel like in sort of these minutes trying to just like comb through what Flint knows how to do, because he doesn't have much left, I think he's gonna like use Flash of Genius to like swap out, you know, one of his devices, which is I think in my mind is taking something apart and trying to use components of it to cast, you know, something else. And I think would take apart kind of the device or whatever that he uses for casting like haste and simplify some of the components of that. And not really knowing how any of this works or what's going on or whatever, try and just cast Longstrider on Mouse, feeling like this is going to be like a long journey through time, space, astral something, and trying to just, I don't know, give her some extra benefit. No idea that whether it'll do anything or not, but I think Flint is constantly like searching for a way to help or searching for a problem to a solution to a problem, and can't really come up with much in this scenario, and is going with that.
Okay. Go ahead and spend the spell slot, but I'm going to say you do that in your astral self, but once you return, your gadgetry is still going to be what it was.
Fair.
Because your physical gadgets have not changed, but you managed to get the updated spell off here before journeying back home. Sundance sort of looks at you all after sort of this period of rest and says, well, as Astriel says, you are now connected to your astral selves, which means we will be seeing you again, I am sure. And I expect that, well, sort of, everybody give me an insight check. I think all of you see it on his face. He's trying. He's not sure if he's supposed to say things that you don't know yet, that you might learn someday, because he's not sure how that affects, how that will affect your future, to know things too early. So you see a look on his face, and he's like, and he's sort of mumbling to himself, so like, I don't know if I can say that. We will see each other again. Let's just keep it simple. There's unfinished work in your future. Work that cannot be done right now. Not because of Mouse's condition, but just because it's not time yet.
Time's weird.
You get used to it. And he waves to you as you are all yanked back. You feel the sort of silver tether of all of you being connected to each other, kind of like yanked, kind of like a bouquet of flowers into that singular direction. You start to move at a speed that is difficult to keep up with before your vision just sort of turns to black. And you awake on the ground of Arcana Sanctum. Mouse, you're still unconscious in this moment. And as the rest of you sort of kind of like pry yourself up off the floor, you sort of see her kind of not convulsing like full stop, but more just sort of like a little twitchy.
Run on over to her, Like just kind of do the whole, hand to head, see if she's running a fever or anything.
Oh, Mouse, did you end up taking a short rest? You would have been eligible for that.
I did not, but I will.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead and do that. So assuming she heals up to full from that, you sort of observe her on the ground, and you recognize, I think, in sort of not just observing her, but observing each other, you recognize that although there are no physical scars from the battles that you've endured up there, there is certainly kind of like soreness that each of you is experiencing. And it's sort of like as you inspect Mouse, you feel like tense muscles that in an irregular way. But she seems to be breathing. She seems to be alive. So you can give me a medicine check if there's a little bit more that you'd like to discern.
Yeah, anything I can try and figure out, I'll definitely take.
It looks like she's having a bad dream on a 10.
Hey guys, I think she might be having a nightmare. Should I shake her, try and wake her up? I don't know if this is good or bad.
I don't know.
I don't know that I would shake her.
Yeah, I don't know if she could
But-
wake up right now. I'll put. Is she? I know you just checked her head, but is she running hot? You just said she was kind of twitchy.
Yeah, she's a little hot, not full on fever.
Not knowing if this could work, DM per discretion, but with the short rest, I was able to get my bardic inspiration back, and using one of. God, I only have so many spell slots after that fight, but I'm gonna try to do a like a cure wounds type of spell because it's touch based, and I'll put it in. Oh shoot! I'll just hold on. He must target a token before rolling the attack. Well, give me one. Okay, there we go.
Rolling an attack. I stab her.
Okay.
And Mouse's campaign's over.
Can you go ahead and throw the bardic on her as well, just so she has it for these upcoming rolls?
And within that touch, I'm gonna try to bring in and hone in that same bardic inspiration magic within the hands that I think I'm touching like her head, like grabbing both sides of her head, for this moment, and just I don't know if I specifically saying anything, but just trying to bring warmth, positive energy, everything's gonna be fine. Trying to like somehow stop the twitchiness, the bad dream, if possible, and that's kind of just what I'm trying to be focused on right now. And then the bardic inspiration is used.
Very good. Clax, Flint, Flint, you sort of did long stride already, which I'll adjudicate in a moment, but I guess Clax, anything that you would offer as like more than just checking her over, but some kind of tangible support in this way. I know you're not a magic user, but nonetheless.
Honestly, I think it'd just be the only thing I know would be like from the time working, essentially in the city guard, words of encouragement, like, come on, you got this, pull through, you can get through here, just kind of slowly, just kind of, see if I have a wet rag, just kind of put on her, take a rag, dump some water on it, and kind of put it on her head as a compress. Just kind of say, you got this, Mouse, come on, you got this, you're here, we're here for you. And just kind of look at the people who actually have magic and be like,
I think maybe seeing Aesop cast Cure Wounds, I would go ahead and also just try and cast Cure Wounds, not really expecting to like heal, but give her some sort of healing energy to attach herself to, or find her way back somehow or another. How do I...
Okay.
When I'm done, can I look behind us or around the room? Is Arcana in the room with us?
Yes, he is sort of just observing at the moment.
I'll just look at him wherever he is and be like, we fought a nasty astral aberration trying to suck away the stars, and who knows what their overall goal is, but Mouse got petrified, and there wasn't anything we could do on the astral plane, and so now we're trying our best to do what we can here. We are all exhausted. You may see that just looking at us from the battles we had there in the just short 2 hours. If there's anything that you could do to help, now would be the time.
Yeah, he narrows his, sort of like furrows his eyebrows a little bit and says, "Your you see, you get the look that he actually feels a little out of his element. He hears what you're saying and doesn't quite know what to do about it. He also looks down at you all, and you don't see Drada anywhere. And he looks, I think, give me an insight check, Aesop, as you're just sort of like looking into Arcana. He wears a pretty plain face. It's hard. He is a hard to read person, but you just sort of see him sort of observing the space and says, I'm afraid that I don't know what to do at this moment. And then he sort of looks up at the ceiling again. At the very least, you can see that his attention is still divided.
I'm just that based on the sole fact that he doesn't even attempt to do anything.
Yeah,
I remember that. Okay. Hot. I'll, without saying a word, I'll turn back and disregard him.
Okay. So, Mouse, you have Bardic Inspiration. Through Clax, you have Guidance, is what I'm going to offer. You should get
magic.
You should get prompted if you want to use these when you do rolls. If not, we'll figure it out. See, Bardic Inspiration, is that D8 or D10? It's D10. It's a D10. Okay.
Okay.
And with regards to the Long Strider, what I'm going to say is, I guess we're going to let you re-roll the guidance if you need to. Like if you roll a 1, we'll say if you roll a 1 on either the guidance or the Bardic Inspiration, then you can re-roll it.
Are both of those before roll or after roll?
After roll.
Okay.
So I'm going to just be upfront with you. I'm not necessarily going to tell you what the stakes are, but I'm going to tell you what the DCs are. The first DC is 17 and the second DC is 19. Because you have your Halfling Bravery, you can also choose to take, you basically have a luck point. You can choose to re-roll one of the two rolls. So you have a lot of resources here. I think keeping it simple, let's roll the first DC 17 Wisdom save, and then you can choose to re-roll it if you want to. Or just roll high.
Or I'll just roll high.
Yep. As you are pulling back into this place, feeling soothed and calm, maintaining all aspects of yourself, you do have the support of your friends, but in this moment you feel, I think, confidence in your training and in your abilities. You understand the basics of what Olive has been teaching you all these years with regards to controlling the stars and sort of channeling that energy. And you keep your Circle of Stars druid spells, Guidance, Guiding Bolts, and Wheel Woe as well, even though that's not a spell.
Jesus.
You keep them?
You keep them. So you remembered your basic training. The question is, do you remember your more advanced training? So this is a DC 19 Wisdom save. The total number isn't showing up, but I assume you do. Yes.
I think it's a 20. Yeah.
Your rolls are so high. You wake up, sort of the light fever you had breaks. I think it's as you're sort of being pulled from one space to another, you sort of start to run through what it means to be connected to your astral body, what it means to not just know of the stars and the constellations and all of your starry forms, but what it means to be among them. And that knowledge that you carry does soothe you as you wake up. So you've managed to succeed all the saving throws. You are still getting 1 point of exhaustion, which is not that bad. And there is still something that feels off. You can't quite place it at this moment, but as you wake up, you just have a sort of you're still sort of having an out-of-body experience. You're not sure how you got here. You're not sure if you have everything that you thought you had. At the moment, there's no mechanical consequences to it, but you still have a sense of feeling like you left your oven on or something like that. Like you're just not quite sure what it is. But you wake up with all of your faculties.
Mouse, are you okay?
Mouse, you there?
Yeah. Where are we? Did we make it back?
Yeah.
We got it. We got that fucking asshole. Yeah.
And we're back in Arcana's sanctum.
That's good.
We met Olive. Or a version of her, she said. She seemed nice. Older lady, right?
Yeah, she's the best. I could kind of hear a little sometimes.
Arcana pipes up and says, Olive was there.
Yep. And Sundance.
Why? What does it matter to you? It's not like you care to begin with. Mm-mm.
And it's not current Olive, it's future parallel Olive?
Interesting.
Yeah.
What else did you learn?
I think we need to rest first. And then we could gossip, if you'd like.
Very well. Should I send you back to the Source Institute? Or would you like to rest here?
Probably the Source Institute.
Sounds great.
Please contact me when you are ready to discuss what happened. I believe It is urgent that we speak.
We won't be long. We just need to take a quick rest and collect our thoughts and even digest what even happened.
One of these sort of sigils on the side opens up, and you are shunted to a room in the Source Institute. No, you're not shunted. It opens up and you walk through it. But it opens up to a room in the Source Institute that you are unfamiliar with. It is almost like a little bit of a vault of sorts. There are a number of books that are on different lecterns, and then there's this sort of like this cage that has several large chests in it, as well as like glowing blue lights that seem to be protecting it with what Flint can obviously discern is some like powerful abjuration magic. You look in here, and there are no doors, but there is an open arcane gate that sort of suggests that it would lead back to Arcana's Sanctum whenever you're ready.
So there's no other way out of whatever this room is that we're in.
Nothing discernible immediately.
Great.
And it's probably safe to assume he can hear whatever we say in here, so.
Yeah, I don't care. He did not care that Mouse was in the state that she was in. And for being the greatest magic being of our time, he just didn't seem to care.
He did seem like he was working pretty hard to... He just seemed pretty tired.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly understand what you're saying is up, and I agree. I would have liked to seen him, do more to help. But I also think he might be doing a lot to help that we can't see. And maybe it's not to help us specifically, but to help everybody? I don't know. I feel like everything is very weird.
I fear his lack of empathy for people will eventually catch up to him. But
All right. So, because it feels like it's been a long time with traveling to Astral Plane and everything, did we do what we needed to accomplish? We beat a big baddie. We got Mouse unturned from stone.
I mean,
Like-
we found out what's happening. So, yeah.
We at the very least got rid of one of the beings that was causing the rifts and stuff to be appearing. But it did seem like Arcana was still having to work to maintain something. I'm not sure. So I think we did what we needed to.
Mouse, can you roll me a wisdom check?
Yes.
Oh, you had advantage? Or no, you have disadvantage because of your exhaustion.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah, I'm exhausted.
With a 21, you, in sort of remembering what you could hear out of the conversations back on the astral plane, and not being able to fully contribute to them, you remember sort of hearing, you don't know that you heard the word Merodak or Gravelmaker or anything like that, but I think what you do sort of pick up on is there was the other, there was the Lavender Johnny, who there's sort of the lavender sands that you traveled throughout on the Savannah Island, and you met a Johnny who had given you some incense, who and you know that, sort of putting a little bit together, that there are Johnny, that this Merodak may be a Johnny as well. There's something you remember as you're sort of settling in.
Yeah, we have 3 incense sticks to talk to Gakina the Virtuous if we had questions.
Is it a specific number of questions that we have?
I say, is it just one question per incense stick, or is it like a conversation per incense?
My notes aren't very clear. Answer one question. So I think I have 3 incense sticks that are worth 1 question each.
What session was that?
A long time ago. That was Savannah Island.
Yeah, I'm trying to.
I remember meeting the Johnny, and was gonna bring it up.
Yeah, the Johnny was looking for his brother who he thought would be on the island. And you were looking for Aesop's dad, and they were not the same person. And you had determined that you were looking for different people and sort of set off from one another at that point. Oh, go ahead. Never mind.
I mean, what do we think is the best sort of question to ask him? Is it who is Meridak, and or how do we find Meridak?
You don't have to, of course, use these right now. I just was reminding you that there's a connection here.
As much as I don't trust him, and I believe that his motivations are his own, I do think Arcana might help us put the pieces together when we talk to him tomorrow.
I just don't trust the guy. I'm worried his intentions are going to lead us to our doom, because he's just so, I guess, otherworldly.
I mean, I think at the very least we use him as a source of information. Maybe we certainly bear in mind that we don't want to give him any extra power or anything if we can help it.
So Clack's been in the corner stewing because something was bugging in the back of his mind. Maybe I missed it while I was thinking hard, trying to remember things. But Kakana, the virtuous, he's Merodak's brother. Does anybody else remember that?
You're talking about Gakeen? Or the Johnny we met before?
So again, I get names confused because it's been so long since we were in Span Island, but Gakina the Virtuous was the guy, and when we left, he made a comment that he was looking for his brother.
Oh, he did say it's his brother.
And it had something weird about being dependent on his name is dependent upon something, but it could be Meridak the Illustrious, or it could have been something else, but it sticks out in my head. We probably really want to get in touch with him then to understand what's going on. Now, do we want to do it here in Arcana's vault? Don't know. And then we also, when we got back to the Minotaurs, we were talking, and I can't remember all this stuff. But I feel Aesop, your mother knew something about the Johnny as well. I don't remember exactly what.
Oh no.
I think that was that. I don't think Aesop's mother knew anything except that a figure had been spotted walking throughout the Savannah Island.
Okay.
I don't think Kakina had ever interfaced with her.
But you're right. I do have in my notes that Kakina mentioned specifically Meridak being their brother.
Though, if that's the case, we probably really need to have a conversation. But the problem we face is that something we want to do with Arcana? Without Arcana? Like, do we want to do it here? Do we? Again, I'm making the assumption he's listening to everything we're saying. So this is probably not going to be a surprise to him, but just in case, like, how do we want to move forward with this?
I don't know. We could try and go back and just ask Arcana what he knows about the Johnny, and if he's familiar with them or knows any of them or how to get in touch with them or something. Just kind of feel out what he knows before we tell him any more, and we can kind of judgment call, decide whether or not we use the incense in his presence or not.
Aesop, I don't know. Do you know if Neptus would know any more about Meridak being the one who cursed Ludum, or is that too many steps removed?
I mean, oh god, what was his name? Vimbratos did say that Neptus was cursed by this guy. Whether or not Neptus remembers, because you know how many years ago that could have been, is a different story.
Well,
However, I'm pretty sure Neptus would be a little down under because he did technically go back into the gem, so he's probably recovering. We won't really have that section figured out until like maybe a day or two, but we could try.
Well, and I got the impression, I think it was like Meridak cursed Ludus, and then during the battle, whatever else, Neptus ended up with Ludus's curse. So I don't know if Neptus has, based on the curses, ever directly interacted with Meridak.
That's true.
But I don't know. He's an elemental, so maybe he knows things.
Yeah, that's true.
So, was the Gravelmaker one of the other names for Meridak?
Yes.
Okay. So if Meridak is the Gravelmaker, Ludum fell in battle. Trying to remember back from when we were there. Ludum fell in battle, and in that process, he was tainted by an elementalist known as the Gravelmaker. So Meridak corrupted Ludum, and then he went to the tomb we were at to rest and recover.
Yeah.
I don't know if that helps or not. I'm just trying to jog my memory.
It is interesting. Yeah, I hadn't expected that these two things were interconnected. I don't know if we have any sort of way to try to reach out to like Ludum or whoever
you
that
killed
guy
Ludum, but
Well, but didn't we get the impression he was gonna like regenerate or resurrect or something? I don't know. There was also whatever that dragon or that person that was in the cave guarding Ludum.
I think it was that morality game of do we, as like humanoids, non-elementals, determine this elemental's fate, or do we allow his own kind to keep his fate as they determined? And we decided to change it. So I think he is unfortunately dead.
Well, we decided to kill him, which I think is what the elementals wanted. I think the elementals didn't want us to cleanse him for some reason. Like it was like
a broken elemental personality maybe thing. I think it was.
He had to. It was up to him to prove that he could overcome this, and if he couldn't, then it was something. like that. But yeah, I think all the way around, we probably need to reach out to Gakina. And then probably try and work on tracking down this Meridak person.
Their body is in the astral plane. Or I guess they did say that he was in the astral plane. He just said that his master, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. Well, and I don't... Did that, you know... Did that person fight... Or did that person work for Meridak in the astral plane, or did they work for that Meridak before they went to the astral plane or something? Like, before they died and turned into this thing? I don't know. Astral plane is weird.
So, how do we want to play this?
I lean towards being open and trying to work with Arcana, but I kind of get the impression that I am maybe in the minority on that, and that others distrust him more than I do.
I mean, I do. However, I feel like I'm not in the right to make the decision on this kind of information because Mouse, like, this is your realm. I don't want to stop us from having a conversation if it means we could learn more information from Arcana about what's going on with the stars. So, I don't want to be that final decision maker for this. However you're feeling.
I think we both need to talk to Arcana and talk to Gakina. It's just a matter of which order we do them.
Yeah. And in certain regards, it makes sense to me that we just do them together. Like, we go have that conversation with Gakina in the presence of Arcana, in case Arcana can glean anything that we might miss or whatever. But I understand if we don't want to do that and we want to have those conversations separately.
I'm following the group on this, so I'm fine with whatever. I'll just keep it. I'm gonna keep my eye on that purple man.
I vote we go to sleep. We wake up in the morning, and we only take 2 of the incense sticks with us in case we want one for ourselves later.
I will note that the room you're in doesn't have windows, but you theoretically woke up 3 hours ago from a long rest.
Oh, cool. Oh, that means we have a lot of time left. Well, I'm very tired, guys. So...
I'll also remind you, I'm not telling you what to do, but just because we don't play super frequently over the holidays, today is also the day that you're supposed to meet up with Bryn Striana as well. And also, you ran away from the unifiers and stuff, and who knows what's going on with that. Just reminding you of the climate.
Life.
Okay, so let's rethink. I think then we do Arcana today, because we're not going to get in a fight. Like, we're just going to go have a conversation, and we don't even have to walk through town to get there. We can portal right over. And then maybe drink some of these potions we've got before we go meet Prince Triana.
Where were we supposed to meet Prince Triana?
Oh.
I don't have it in my notes. I think the notion was that you could either sending her or meet her back at the apothecary.
Was that the smelted mug?
No, the smelted mug is Flint's old haunt.
Oh, that's where
we're not staying there anymore.
Yeah.
Somebody remind me, why were we meeting Prince Triana again?
We talked to her after kind of sort of threatening her or something, but then came back and like talked to her, and it seemed like maybe she was willing to work with us as long as we could help her
Get 3 flowers from the caverns.
Yeah.
Hmm.
We're definitely not going to the caverns today. But
Yeah, today was the day that she had hoped to leave Flamebridge, but she also, if I recall, had sort of like left like a you know, if plans change, let me know. You know, so you got the impression that she's willing to, that she's not in a hurry, but you did sort of come to an agreement with her.
yeah, maybe we let her know we aren't ready to leave.
We need like an extra day. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because we also kind of need to deal with the Jade Mask stuff. Well, maybe. I don't know. We could just leave and ignore ignore the unifiers that are apparently after me. That felt like such a big deal a day or two ago, and now doesn't, given everything else going on. Granted, I don't know if they would have put 2 and 2 together and like are impounding our airship or something. That could be something.
So, who can tell Brinstriana that we need to delay?
Do I have it? Oh my gosh.
I mean, we could walk across town and tell her. We just
I could send a sending spell right now.
I was going to say the problem with walking across town means we're walking in daylight across the town with unifiers that are on lookout for us.
we're inconspicuous.
Sure. So,
All right. How about one thing at a time? How about we deal with Arcana and have this conversation, and then we'll decide how we're gonna go deal with Prince Triana.
all right. Mouse, you good?
Back through the portal?
Let's get this over with.
Alrighty. As you guys step through, I'm actually not going to keep you on this map. As you step through, you observe a sort of projection of the map of Ventus that is sort of in the middle of this room. You've never I say the map of Ventus, except it's more spherical in this projection. It's not something you've actually, you might sort of know it to be a globe, but your experience with it is usually just the flat version. So we're going to use the flat version for now. I'm going to ask first for one single person, to roll 1d2.
Got it. Fine, I'll do it.
You want to roll low.
So I want a 1.
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
Now I need one person. We're gonna who's opting out? Who's opting out of rolls? First person. Okay. So I need Eric. You are rolling a d20. You are horizontal. Art, you are rolling vertical. Roll a d20.
Oh my.
That weird little island. No, it's not quite on the island.
Mouse, you see a storm raging above Sparrowden.
Oh.
Great.
This is what you get for raising your hand, saying you're not going to roll.
I already did lots of rolls.
Would she have had advantage being exhausted?
No, it's not that kind of roll. As Arcana is in this space, you see he doesn't necessarily even acknowledge you re-entering the room, but as he is sort of here looking at this projection of a globe, he says, "If my attention falters but for a moment, there are consequences. I will notify the recovery squad so that they can begin sending airships, but I hope that your journey has revealed something useful."
Anybody want to go, or do you really want me to do the talking?
So,
I should say, you guys don't know what that island is. Only Mouse knows.
fair.
Do I?
I think I told you before this campaign ever started what that island was. So I think you know. I think you would triangulate based on the size of the island and the fact that you crashed into Vind from the direction that you crashed. That's the only island that's out there.
It's a really good chance.
And as Arcana says that there are consequences, he is sort of looking towards Mouse. Not in a, I don't mean to suggest that he's like judging you like you did something wrong, but it's more like a silent acknowledgement that he knows what you know.
So Arcana, do you know much about Johnnies?
They are ancient. They are historical figures. I have not seen one or met one. It is said at one point that Quintessence was a Johnny in some religious books.
So, a while ago, we helped the recovery squad deal with one of these events. And while we were on one of these islands being disturbed, Savannah Island, we met a Johnny.
He raises his eyebrows.
Gakina. Gakina was there looking for his brother. And anybody jump in if I start saying too much. But was there looking for his brother, Meridak. AKA the Gravelmaker?
Also known as the Illustrious.
And
Fair.
the Extinguisher and the Consumer and the Voidbringer, depending on the perspective of
So
which
you've heard
elemental
of
plane you're on.
You've heard of this person then?
Not in enough detail to truly know who they are or what they're capable of. I've heard stories, perhaps.
Fair. Well, while we were in the astral plane,
Can I interrupt you for a second?
Certainly.
Can I see if he's lying?
You can roll an insight check if you like.
I was going to, not looking for lies, just looking to see if he's telling us everything he knows.
Okay, you can roll an insight check as well.
Why am I so bad with Arcana?
If I am being fair, I should roll this as well. You don't know what it is, but I do. I can't tell if that was it was a private roll. Okay. You are not able to get a sense of you're not able to get a read off of him, is what I would say.
Fair. Sorry, Flynn.
Not a problem. So while we were in the astral plane, we ended up helping to fight essentially a space beholder named, what was this guy's name? Fimbratos? Yeah, Fimbratos, who seemed to be causing a lot of havoc in the astral plane and for Olive and Sundance and things. And we did defeat Fimbratos, but during that fight, he sort of arrogantly mentioned that his master was this Merodach person. So the fact that getting rid of Fimbratos didn't seem to stop the storms makes me think we need to track down Merodach.
He sort of breathes in a somewhat deep breath as he's sort of eyeing the projected map in the middle of the room and listening to what you're saying, and says, "That sounds like a good lead. I can do my best to see if I can locate him. He sort of is trying to figure out what the path forward is. And he sort of looks to you all and says, the more of my energy that I spend and exhaust in that pursuit leaves Ventus vulnerable. It would be prudent for us to find Merodach's location sooner than later. However, that would not be something that Ventus in its fractured state would be prepared to fight back. The recovery squad can fight on 2 fronts at most, unless it's bad, and then perhaps only one. It would be wise, perhaps, before I perform that kind of research, that we could find other allies to help.
So you don't think we can take Merodach?
Based on the stories I've heard, I think that would be unwise.
Quite frankly, we could barely take Fimbratos, and I doubt that was his only ally.
Nah, that was easy. We took that guy, no problem.
I don't think I could take Merodach in, at least not alone.
So, if we thought we had leads to try and find Merodach, it wouldn't even necessarily make sense to follow them up right now because we need more allies?
The allies could be multi-purpose. They could be people who would be willing to bring the fight to Merodach directly, or it could be people who help the recovery squad to hold off the storms.
Do you guys think Kakina would help us fight Merodach?
I don't remember. Oh, do you remember why they wanted their brother?
I was gonna say that maybe because they were looking for him and that he seemed not super mad or upset about mentioning his brother's name, that he doesn't know what's happening.
Maybe.
This Kakina name is not one I'm familiar with. There are... Generally, Merodach is referred to as a sort of warlord without lieutenants.
What do you guys think?
Well, it sounds like we need a small army, either way. We don't really have a way to find them. We know they're causing the problems. Arcana can only hold out for so long. So it's really a matter of prioritization. You know, what do we want to do? Because we probably should get out of Dodge either way. That's a term from back up home.
Would it... I mean, I think we could ask Akina a couple questions to just get some more information and maybe figure out if they would be on their side if we worded them properly, and then at least we can share, maybe have a plan when we're a little more rested and have better backup.
With regards to gaining allies, I understand that he sort of looks at each of you and says, I have kept my eyes on all of you, and I understand that you all have other goals. It is my opinion that some of the threads that you are connected to are what keep Ventus from creating a unified defense. The selfishness of nobles, the drought that keeps vampires from joining the mainland. There are countless individuals throughout Ventus, or factions, that are at odds with each other, and in time, those conflicts will only get worse. I think to the extent that you have capacity to influence these factions, or he sort of looks at Clax and says, or eradicate them, there may be a means to then leverage them as resources, leverage what remains as resources to defend Ventus.
How long can you hold out?
He sort of gives you the "it depends" look, but knows that you're looking for a firmer answer, and says, at least a few months.
Okay. How long will the source hold out? Because I don't mean to be rude, it's kind of a mess downstairs, or upstairs, or wherever we are in relation to the Source Institute.
It will, as a pillar of education, it will fail in the next few weeks, I'm sure. But so long as Azure Veil and other agents and resources that he leverages can maintain the battery that powers my work, then I don't believe it should be a problem. There may be questions as to my activities, and the reputation of the Source Institute might dwindle, but it is not important.
So, from the sounds of it, we kind of need to go crack some skulls and, see what we can do to gather allies. But
Yeah.
It is important that you leave something behind that is functional.
yeah, we won't go scorched earth. Don't worry.
He nods. There are people who you may trust, and as long as those people can keep Ventus from a civil war, then I think that would be good enough. The people will rally behind a cause if they are forced to, but not when they are grasping for their own ends at the same time. They need to know that it's important for them to defend the world and not see it as an opportunity to enrich themselves.
Okay.
Do you know the king?
We've met.
What's your opinion of that guy?
I question if he is an ally in all of this, particularly with relation to the drought and the vampires. I think solving that riddle will be part of the puzzle.
Okay.
He sort of there's sort of like a moment and says, I take it that you're aware of why Drada is not here. I did not ask. He disappeared, but you do not look concerned, and I'm just making sure that you are...
I don't have a clue, so maybe they can help fill in the gaps.
Some of the friends we met in the astral plane said they needed to borrow him for a little bit, but that he'd be back.
You seem to trust this, then?
I think so. It was a little...
They didn't give us any reason not to trust them. That helps.
It was a little timey-wimey and weird.
Well, if Drada appears here, I will send them your way.
Appreciated.
I'm going to take a 5-minute break because I have to get some water. But then we can finish this conversation and figure out what's next.
Sounds good.
BRB.
I can't imagine the woods are close by, so we could probably travel or rest while traveling.
Yeah, I assume.
Well, you're still sort of sitting in this room with Arcana. You don't have to rush any decisions, just sort of getting us back into the game part.
Sorry.
Someone has the hiccups.
Uh-oh. So we're just sort of looking at resources, I expect.
Yeah, we're just trying to figure out just how badly tapped out we are, and we're not as bad as I thought we were.
Yeah. And Mouse's exhaustion is not... one level exhaustion is inconvenient, but not terrible.
Yeah, not detrimental, thankfully.
As a small creature, 2 gets rough really quick.
Yes.
So
True. Well, do we want to try to talk with or use the incense or whatever while we're here? Or do we want to just wait and do that another time?
I'm thinking since we have a little bit of time, I think we wait because who knows what we're going to find out between now and then. What additional information we'll need. Stuff along those lines. And since we have finite uses, let's really make it sure they're worth it.
At least we have access to it. I will say we could also, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, DM, but I think I can do my incense thing again. I have enough to do it one more time.
Do you?
About it.
Let's take a look at your... I think you had used them both.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I would just need to get more.
Yeah, you had gotten 2, and then you had used 1 on the Sky Dragon, and then you used another one on something else. Or you used one on Neptus a long time ago, and then you used the second one on the Sky Dragon more recently.
So I could use a legend lore spell eventually, just I would need the incense for it.
Alright. Well,
Arcana just sort of pipes in and says, "Is there anything that I can do for you now before I send you back?"
Do you have a lot of incense?
I have to hold on. DM has to look up an ability. Because there's actually a potential interesting thing he can do. I flavored him around a particular set of things, and I want to keep it that way. Okay. So that's... I'm not going to read into this to see if this is actually broken as written, but you see in his hand he conjures an illusion, what starts as a sort of stick of incense. I think he's able to... He's kept an eye on you, like you said, so he understands what the specifications of what you need is. It's not just regular incense. He understands that you need something a little bit more special. And as it starts as an illusion, he then sort of twists his hand, and you start to see it conjure into something real. And he sort of like mage hands it over to you, and says, "This will remain useful for the next hour.
I got it. Thank you.
I guess
That was kind of cool what you did.
Apparently,
Not
illusion
looking at him
wizards
like
can make
that.
their illusions real for a short amount of time.
Crazy.
I guess before we head out, do you have, I guess, any other help you can provide us? Any other allies we should talk with? Any, I don't know, is there a local armory we should go visit? Is there, if we're going to go try and keep saving the world, any help or directions you can point us to? Anything like that before we leave? I don't know when we'll see you next.
I will think on this and will send what assistance I can in this place here. I do not keep much, but he will sort of. You get the sense, you sort of discerned this earlier, is that he's not necessarily here right now. It sort of is like a projection of him that is in this space, so the ability for him to give you an object is limited, but he does sort of look to you all and says, but should you find yourselves in a incredibly dire situation and you need my immediate assistance, do send to me, and I will come, but do so knowing that every distraction is consequential.
I think my last question was, do you have a sense for how bad that new storm is? Is it like bigger or smaller than the one that was on Savannah Island? Is it something, the recovery squad can handle with ease, or do we need to go help them out? I don't want Aesop's parents to, be in trouble or something.
It's he sort of is looking for the words and says, I trust in their ability to resolve it. It is not the largest we've seen, and they were alerted as early as could be possible. But they do grow, so it is, they can be unpredictable. But for now, I must get back to my work. I will send Drada to you if it is necessary for me to do so. I'm not sure what is at play at the moment. And please do visit or send to me should you need me or have questions.
All right.
Right? He sees the lack of questions and then begins a teleportation spell. And you are all sent back. At this point, you are now sent to the sort of teleportation circle at the bottom of the Source Institute Tower. It is sort of like you immediately get that, like, a little bit of chaos energy of students that are sort of haphazardly throwing spells around and goofing off, as well as just sort of like this a sense of frustration in the air as a few students who are arriving are complaining about various administrative issues with their course registrations and this and that and the other thing. As you sort of teleport in, it's almost like you're entering a completely different world, like full of all these people who have no idea what is happening or why, or sort of like everybody who's dealing with their own problems in their own lives. And you just sort of like appear in this space, and nobody looks at you because people show up on this teleportation pad all the time. You sort of are another arrival to the tower.
Guys, this instance lasts for an hour. Can we do this real quick? Take 10 minutes and then we'll head out.
Seems reasonable.
Should we tell Azure Veil that, like, he's sort of being set up to fail right now, and that Arcana just assumes this school is not going to keep being a school? Like, I guess that's low on the list.
I don't think
Well-
that helps him either. He seemed to care about the school, so telling him it's not a priority and it's probably going to fall apart in 3 weeks isn't really going to help him have a good day.
I was gonna say, if anything, if we tell him anything, it's like, don't worry about the school. The only priority is keeping the arcane battery.
Yeah.
Whether he agrees with it or not, I mean, that's the truth of where we're at right now.
Yeah.
Let Arcana handle that.
Mm-hmm.
Alright. Sure, let's find an empty classroom or something to cast this spell in.
Yeah, you can. There's all sorts of spaces that are, being used in various ways. I think you would probably find, you would either need to like try to go to Azure Veil's, like private professor sanctum, which is just a room high up in the tower, or you would just like try to find a less crowded area in the dining hall. Those are probably like your two best options for a busy morning like this one.
Okay.
You would blend in well, as long as there's no idiot kids listening in.
I guess we'll walk around until we find a quieter spot. I guess in the cafeteria, you said?
Yeah, where you fought the animated tables.
I just need like 10-minute concentration on this, and then we're good. So hopefully that kid doesn't show up and like haggle us or something. I don't know.
Did we keep that kid's wand? What happened there? He had like a wand of like animate objects or something.
Clax took the rod and has just held on to it, I think.
Oh, let me check my bag.
Because I remember specifically thinking that Flint would be trying to make sure we kept a hold of it.
Oh yeah, I do have a wooden rod. How about that?
Maybe while you cast whatever it is you're casting, I can ritually cast inspect on this thing. Or identify.
Give to character. Pick character to send to. Flint. Send.
I will go in here, and then here.
Let me know when that shows up on yours, Flint. It's the first time I've used that, so.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know how the trait interface works. I could just drag it to his inventory as well. For
Yeah, it's
simplicity.
still on mine. Yeah, I was trying to use the stuff.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So we have Legend Lore. We have Identify. I will just identify this wooden rod. I don't know that it reveals anything new to you. I think it might have been in the tooltip already, but...
I don't think it was, actually.
Oh, really? Okay. But it basically has one remaining use of animate objects in it, which you can keep in your back pocket. And then we have Legend Lore, I believe. So, I think this is how we described it before, but I maybe would look to you to correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's sort of as you're burning the incense, you kind of need something to write on. The story doesn't come out in your head, it comes out in sort of you being puppeted to write it.
Yeah, and I would definitely use my book that I carry around to do that. Not the one that we have with Avendir, but the one that my personal one. And so I would sit down, surrounded by friends, and just focus on, because we don't know what Merodach looks like, so I focus on Gakina, I'm saying that right, and how he looked, but focusing on the name Merodach, brother of Gakina, trying to put together all the details, all the nicknames that I know about him and that I've heard, trying to get a picture of what he might look like. I think about like the elemental history, what he did to the hierarchy, to the elemental royalty at this point, from what we know, and see what I can gather from there.
Alrighty. You begin kind of writing frantically, but still in your nice cursive and script. And words appear on the page that are, as the smoke of the incense comes off, it kind of comes into the pen as if it's filling it with ink. And I will put this in Discord momentarily, but read it first. It says, Voidbringer, Extinguisher, Consumer, Gravelmaker, all nicknames given for a powerful Johnny elementalist named Merodach. He wished to open up more gateways between the planes, risking the livelihood of those within the prime material plane to accomplish his own goals. Merodach was banished from the elemental plane of air by the first elves long ago, held in by quintessence. Sorry, that my grammar in that is wrong. Held back by quintessence. His newfound hatred of elves inspired Merodach to extend his capabilities, adding blood magic to his repertoire. Powered by both blood magic and elemental energy, he tinkers with profound magical secrets in the cauldron of storms, welcoming only those who are desperate enough to need his help. And I think it's through this legend lore as well that I'll remind you a little bit about Ludum. Ludum had sought help in a elemental conflict of some kind, and that help had cursed him, which is what made all the earth elementals sort of dislike him. So I think like through hearing or through reading this story, you would sort of gather that Merodach can, through these curses, has empowered individuals who've sought his assistance, but it is sort of as like it corrupts them at the same time. You expect, I think you would expect that individuals like Fimbratos may be of a similar category.
Everything has a price. All right.
Out of my 10-minute jotting down of information, I'm just like, ugh. And I'm like slightly exhausted by, like, I could feel my arm just moving back and forth, that little trance. At least we have a location.
Yep, Cauldron of Storms. Okay. So, does anybody know anything about blood magic?
Was there anything in that necromancer book?
I think the only one that would be Drada.
Yeah, you've seen Drada use some form of blood magic at one point.
That's right. Yeah.
You also, I mean, and this, I think above table is just sort of, you need to talk to Drada about this next time you see him. He hasn't revealed a terribly a lot, but he was actually seeking out a book that Jory had helped sort of try to locate that was supposedly at the Source Institute, but has not shared too much of that with you all. So I think in this moment you're just sort of like, we need to talk to Drada.
Got it.
I'm struggling to find it in my notes, but I am fairly certain I have somewhere in there the name of the like island in the storm that the vampires are living on. What is that island?
It's Myrsky, Myrsky.
But that is not called the Cauldron of the Storm.
Not
Right.
as far as you know.
Okay. It's the only thing I could think of that might have been that.
Oh, okay. Cauldron of the Storm. Would the Cauldron of the Storm also be where the air elementals flying around? I don't know if that'd make a lot of sense, but or the dragon.
Well,
That
I am not 100% certain, but the dragon flying around might also be that island that I'm
got
referring
it. Okay.
to. I may have made that up, but I think at some point we maybe made that connection.
All right, so let's kind of shift gears to the immediate concern. Do we
Yeah.
want to still try and meet Prince Triana? And if so, how are we getting across town to do this?
I'll just put my hood up and we'll act casual and we'll just walk across town. What
I
could
could
go
always
wrong?
I could send to have her meet us in a nondescript secret location where we're not seen by a lot of other people.
Where were we supposed to meet her originally?
I think just
Either
like
we
an
were supposed to
apothecary.
reach out to her,
Okay.
reach out to her with a different location or apothecary.
Well, I think, I don't think there's any reason why the guards and things would connect us to that apothecary. Like, we definitely shouldn't go back to the tavern, but I would think we could go to the apothecary just fine, right? Like, we weren't seen over there by anybody or anything.
Then I say we head on over. Because the sooner we get this done, then the sooner we can get out of town. And then we could save that, hopefully, that sending for... Drada doesn't have any way to reach us, though, right? Well, Arcana said he'd send him to us, right? So it's not like he was just going to... Yeah, so I think we're fine there.
Clax, give me a perception check.
Uh-oh. I do bad on these. Perception. There you are. Big roll. Oh, that was a 20 for a second. But no, 2.
Continue.
Kevin's he's having too much fun over there.
Well, maybe we head out of here and try really hard to make sure we're not being followed.
As best as we can, try to be discreet.
Yeah.
Which is probably pretty hard for us. But
I mean, we are sort of a dragonborn and a minotaur.
Yep.
There's a lot of gnomes in this town, so I should be fine. But you guys sort of stand out.
All right, we heading on over?
Can I try and navigate us through some weirder areas of town that I think have less guard presence or something?
You could try.
I'll try.
All right.
I used to
I
live
have
here.
a disguise kit. Maybe I could like add some makeup to my face to make me look older. There's not much I could do as a minotaur, but I could try changing up my face.
Still look like an older Minotaur.
Yeah. hmm
Yeah.
You're welcome to try anything you'd like.
I will attempt.
Okay. Give me. What is a disguise kit roll? I feel like it's probably dexterity. Give me just a dexterity check, and then I will give me a dex saving throw because it's going to be the same number. It's easy enough. You, I think with a 20, I think that's a little bit better than just an older minotaur. I think it's sort of like using kind of a creative use of the cloak. You're able to hide the horns a little bit and hide the tails, I should say. And I think now you kind of could pass as just like a really, if somebody doesn't inspect kind of the way your legs bend too closely, then you could pass as just a really tall person.
What I am anyway. Works for me.
Now that's 1 out of 4 of you.
Yeah, I don't know what Clax would do. I mean,
I feel like a gnome and a halfling, like, as long as we put, like, some hoods on and stuff, like, we're fine. I think we're gonna be hard to pick out in this town. I'll maybe, like, I've probably got, like a blacksmith's, like, apron, and I'll put like an extra hammer or 2 on my tool belt and stuff. Just try and look like I'm just like a local craftsman a little bit.
Okay.
Maybe hide my shield in my bag and cover my breastplate up a little bit and whatnot.
So just confirming, your destination is Brinstriana's apothecary. Is that as I understand it? Okay.
Yep.
And you're talking, so there's sort of different roles you can make for this. You can make a history roll to try to remember sort of the safer neighborhoods, or well, it's not even safer neighborhoods. It's more places that, as best as you're aware, are maybe less patrolled.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas an investigation would be perhaps trying to find, like, I think investigation in this case would be trying to find the quickest path. Whereas history would be trying to find the least scrupulous path.
I mean, in that case, I'd probably try and find the quickest path.
Then go ahead and roll investigation for me. And then everybody else tell me what you're doing as Flint is trying to lead the way.
I would like to kind of play a little bit of lookout just to see if anyone is giving us eyes as we're following this path.
I think I would just try to be distanced from the group because, just they're looking for a group of people, right? So maybe as a singular, like, again, still keep everybody within distance so I can see them, but just not traveling in a group per se together. And then obviously just trying to keep an eye out for any guard or unifiers or anything.
I am focusing on keeping myself inconspicuous.
Okay. I'm gonna say Aesop stealth with advantage. Clax stealth and perception. Mouse, I'm kind of assuming you're all trying to be stealthy, so your stealth and perception as well. And then Flint, if you can give me a stealth on top of your investigation.
And my perception be
Sight based, yes.
sight based.
So it's flat roll because you're still disadvantaged on exhaustion. But
I was gonna say, does Mouse have a bunch of like
the buff's
extra
more
wild
off.
shapes or anything?
Oh, she has wild shapes, yeah.
Because
Oh shoot, I accidentally clicked disadvantage, but where's my other roll? Oh, I rolled the same. Oh. I think I rolled 2 15s, so it didn't matter.
Seems like a 15 and 18, but I think a 19 is pretty high. So perception checks first. We've got Plax, I think like you're sort of you don't know the city as well as Flint does, but you did, I think when you first entered the city, got a good lay of the land about what the types of guard forces were. And so I think like with your perception check, you don't see anything immediately. And because you're sort of staying behind the group a little bit, I think you're a little bit more focused on stealth. Unfortunately, not very good at it.
Nope.
Mouse, you do, I think it's like before Flint gets very far, you do not see anybody looking at you, but you do see a series of posters that have Flint's face on them. And you do see that sort of like none of them were posted on the Source Institute or anything like that, but you do see them with, there's a lot of them.
Is there one I can inconspicuously pick up either off the ground or just like shove in my pocket?
Go ahead and roll me a sleight of hand.
I don't think I've ever done one of these. Oh, and a disadvantage. It's going to be great. No. I don't know why I got 3 dice.
That halfling luck, though.
Yeah, the halfling luck re-rolled one of them. But, you rip one off and it just makes a tearing sound. And you know, I think you know that it makes a tearing sound and you shove it in your pocket anyway.
Yeah. In case I see him later.
Yeah, but you do there's an acknowledgement of various people in the city who are just sort of looking in the direction of the tearing sound, and then you sort of look away.
I'm not taking all of them down.
Yeah.
Is it just my picture?
Yes.
How? What's the bounty?
Well, so here's the question: is like Mouse, like, how do you react? Like, you see them not just in sort of the first leg of this journey, but you see them sort of up ahead as well. They're sort of like one posted on every building.
I was shoving it in my pocket so that I could kind of inspect the bounty and who was posting it and whatnot when we were somewhere safer. I think I would quietly, when I'm in range of a whisper, be like, hey, Flint, I think those posters are all of your face. Do you want to polymorph into something for the rest of the walk, or can you keep your head covered?
Well, I can't polymorph me.
No, but I can. I think.
You don't have I don't know if there's a less expensive way for me to deal with this.
Clax, you see your group sort of, I think you guys sort of stop to have this conversation, and Clax, you're falling behind a little bit. You just sort of see your friends huddled.
Oh, I would be trying to do this on the move, although close enough together that we can semi-talk again. I don't think we want to stop in view of posters.
Yeah, at the very least, Clax sees a change of mood.
Yeah.
Have I noticed the posters, or was that part of my?
I think
check?
Mouse maybe pointed, and then you catch a glance and see one.
Gotcha. So
You
what
saw
I'll
her
do?
rip something off a wall with her sleight of hand check.
Okay. With them kind of changing their view and everything, I'm immediately going to kind of just go on high alert and just see if there's anybody taking notice of the group walking in front of me.
Okay. Roll another perception check for me.
Yeah, that's about right.
You don't I mean, I think with a 10, you see that there are like random citizens that are sort of like doing a double take when
Okay,
they
kinda
walk
eyeball
past
them.
the party. Yeah. There's sort of like a moment of recognition. You don't see any like guards just yet, but I think your alert is on. You're not sure what step 2 is if somebody's going to report something.
Okay, I think I will. 2 ways to do it. I think I will drop even further back if I can, like really try and push the limits of keeping them in range, just so I can have kind of a bigger view of everything around them. Just so if something's happening, I doubt I'll be able to warn them something's happening, but I can at least be there as kind of a surprise, stern guard type setup. Yeah, so I think that's what I'd do at this point, because I don't want to draw more attention by running up there and tapping on them or doing anything. So.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, so Flint, you are still kind of leading the pack, but now Mouse has other plans. What's happening?
I was gonna say, Mouse, are you polymorphing me, or are we just continuing to go?
I'm sorry. I got distracted because this music is something I choreographed to a long time ago, and I was trying to figure out where I could sing the name of the song. What was that?
Are you polymorphing me, or something else, or are we just continuing?
Sure. That seems... How much further do we have to go?
This is the first leg. You imagine at this pace, trying to take the quickest route that Flint found, that it's probably another hour out.
I think that might be...
You could take the
safer.
train. You do know that there is a train station nearby, and you could try to cut that in half. Or, sorry, not cut it in half. You, double it, but sort of take a different path.
I'll leave that up to you, Mouse. You have limited spell slots, so...
I do, but I don't... I think the last thing we need right now is an altercation.
Oh. What am I turning into?
I think you would make a really good...
Something that won't stand out on the street.
Like a
Oh,
weasel.
that's fair. Yeah, you can be a pocket weasel. We've done that a fair few times. Pocket weasel.
We duck in an alley and come out without Flint and with a pocket weasel.
Alrighty.
It made a, goat sound.
Yeah, I heard the go sound.
It's the only sound I've got. All right. All right. Well, the question still remains. Then you duck into a corner. Sort of. Let's just get another round of stealth checks from everybody except Flint.
Yeah, I think it's better than my last one.
I feel like I should get advantage just because, Mouse has never looked notable or out of place. Everyone loves me.
I don't know
just
why.
Radiate normal.
Yeah, I don't know why you're getting just. I can investigate, but I'll take this. I mean, it's still a 6+4 with your first roll.
Not great, but better than a 1. So.
Yep. Let's just sort of roll a. Well. All right. Oops, that was my dice. That was not Aesop. Apologies. So you back into a corner and cast polymorph, and it sort of is at that moment that you hear like a group of people who were sort of just like maybe they thought they saw something and did a double take. They sort of look around the corner as it happens, and they kind of gasp and start to run in a direction. They seem surprised at the spellcraft.
So do I see, because obviously they would have ducked in the alleyway, I probably don't see them, but I see the people running.
Yeah, I would say so.
I'm immediately going to run up to the group, and as soon as I get there, just say, let's go. And now we just need to start running.
You're going to try to join this and lead them in the wrong direction? Is that what you're saying?
I don't know. I'm just saying we need to go, right? Like,
okay. Well, I'm trying to figure out if you're...
Sorry, Klex, are you joining back up with us or the random people that are...
Oh, yeah. No, yes. Yeah, so I think that's even better.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out if you're trying to play distraction with randos.
Yes, let's go play it. That's going to be far more fun. Yes. Because I remember where Bristrianis is, right? Like, I can meet up with them.
Yeah, it might take you a little longer, but...
That's fine. Yeah.
Probably better that way.
Give me persuasion or intimidation, depending on how you're trying to steer this crew. We're going to say the DC is 13.
All right, give me 1 second here. I'm trying to think of what I want to do. So I saw people running out. I imagine they look somewhat startled. Right?
Yes. Yeah.
So I think I'd try and intimidate him pretty much into, well, what's going on? Why are you running away? Is there a problem? We should go solve the problem. What's going on? And try and really kind of get them to kind of stop what they're doing and really think about the situation. And then kind of slow walk it, like try and act like the big bad tough guy and try and take them back to the alleyway. Hopefully the party has enough sense to move on. And I think I'm going to try an intimidation.
Okay. There you go. One of these individuals just sort of seems to be like the older brother of this sort of small family of humans, and sort of says, I think we saw that guy, and points at one of the posters on the wall and says, but you look like you should... I don't want to deal with the cops, and you should tell them. And he sort of takes the family and leaves.
Is there anybody else, or was it just them? It
was like a small family unit that like just sort of tailed the party for a moment.
I'll be like, this one here, and I'm going to go over to the wall and kind of really like, don't worry, I got it. I'm going to kind of tear one off the wall and keep it up to my face and kind of like walk towards the alleyway.
Looking at the poster more closely for the first time, you see a 30,000 gold bounty. Alive.
Oh, that's gonna be a problem. Okay. But yeah, I'm just gonna kind of keep up the facade and see if I can't make enough noise of I'm gonna be rich, and something like that, and hopefully everybody's got the point and getting the heck out of there.
Yeah. The rest of you with Weasel Flint start to make yourself down further into the city. Now you have several... Flint sort of had described what the quickest path was, but you sort of understand now that walking out here is quite dangerous. I'll say for just a brief moment that Klax, you find an opportunity to rendezvous and check in with the party, because you need to come up with a plan for getting the rest of the way.
Okay.
You don't have too long to linger, just because like standing still for too long is drawing attention to yourselves. But you meet for a few minutes to figure out if you should continue with Flint's path or if you should try to take a different, longer way.
So guys, I don't know if you guys have seen these posters, but it's 30,000 gold for him alive. So we need to get out. Where's Flint?
Oh, I made him a weasel. I saw the posters and thought it would be best to hide him.
Oh, all right. Does anybody remember where we're going the fastest way? Since Flint can't talk.
I mean, Flint can like sit in my hair and point me in the right direction.
Kind of chitter.
I don't know what the intelligence of a weasel is, but I am
This
not
is polymorph, not wild shape.
I'm not Flint's mental stats.
I mean,
It's not
I'm
high.
pretty good at finding a path. Like, skills of Mouse are finding her way. I'm fairly confident with disadvantage that I know where we're going.
All right. Then I'll kind of play the rear guard again. Let's just keep moving and let's kind of pick up the pace a little bit and just move as fast as we can since he's hidden. Hopefully it gives us a little more protection.
I'm just trying to like tie knots or something.
Okay. You sort of break the huddle and continue in your journey. We're going to roll stealth with advantage for folks that even though Flint is, I'm just sort of justifying this because he is polymorphed. You guys were there too. Flint's poster's on the wall, but you may be avoiding now the commoner eyes, but if there are any unifiers about who perhaps are searching for you or are dongbringers, they still know the rest of your faces. So I am going to give everyone advantage on that, and Aesop, because you are disguised, I'm going to give you an additional +5, which we'll just add after the roll because I don't think there's an easy way to do that. And Flint, you're not rolling anymore.
I think mine automatically rolls with disadvantage because my armor set should just be a straight.
Oh, I guess mine does as well.
Oh, mine
so-
should also be a straight roll. It is what it is.
I'll take the first die in examples where I need to do
23.
Yes, so that 23 for Clax.
It's still
Ace-
8 for Mouse.
Aesop would be 16 plus 5 would be 21.
Mhm.
And yeah, Mouse is still 8. So that is 2 out of 3 successes. We are in the last leg of this journey. Because you are taking the quickest route, Flint's polymorph is still secure for the moment. So we will do one more round of stealth with the same rolls.
Okay, gotcha. Ooh, both of those were good, so don't matter. Take your pick. It's either 21 or 22. Which one was first?
What is your armor, Aesop? I know you upgraded. You have scale mail. Okay, we need to get you a breastplate or something.
Yeah.
All right. So first die for Mouse is bad. Clax would be 22, and then same rolls for Aesop, which is 28 with the disguise. Mouse, I think you describe it for me. I mean, you're exhausted. What consequence does that have on your stealth?
I mean, I'm an exhausted halfling that has many things sticking out of her hair, including a weasel. I'm just not particularly stealthy. And that's okay, because I wouldn't hurt anybody, so I don't look...
And I think that you're hanging out with all these... You're hanging out with a Minotaur and a Dragonborn. I think there's a degree to which that if you stay between them... you are able to be hidden from their success. From
I
many
do
angles.
have that, like, halfling thing where I can go between people's legs. And so I'll just, like, sneak my way around these two larger creatures so that I'm less seen.
And in you still have like a few minutes left of your, because polymorph is 1 hour, right? I think you still have a few minutes left as you do start to approach the Bryn Striana's apothecary. We come back here. The doors seem open, and you sort of once again, as the door opens, she gives sort of a non-acknowledging greeting, saying, if you want to buy anything, please leave gold on the table. And she's sort of clipping away at a plant in the corner of the room. Doesn't even realize in this moment that it's you all.
Make sure Clax gets in, Mouse and Weasel Flint get in, and I'll just make sure we're not being followed. And if there's a door, close the door.
I think you, and on the door is another poster.
On the outside of the door?
Yes.
Okay.
So I'll just kind of whisper over. Since he's a weasel, can we keep him a weasel? Just say he already got caught.
He's not going to be a weasel for very much longer because I have to really focus on this spell and my time is running out.
Oh shit. Let's hope she's not greedy.
I could spend some more spell slots if you really think it's necessary.
Now let's roll the dice.
As you guys are coming in, eventually she peers out around and says, I wasn't expecting you just yet, but I am, just a few minutes. I can gather a few things and be ready to go. You seem to be missing a few people. Last time there was 5. Now there's 3. Are we meeting them?
They'll meet up with us.
And actually, you can take your time for a minute to get ready or whatever. We actually have a thing that we might want to talk about.
With me? Or...
Oh no, just amongst ourselves. I'm just telling you, you don't have to rush on our behalf.
Very well. I will prepare myself. And she'll, she goes back to some other things. You see she's packing up. She has like a staff that she carries. She has a cloak and, packing up rations and things of the like, as well as the tools of her trade. You see she's sort of like also trying to figure out the signage on the shop to make sure that it's closed and locked up and things like that. So she is within earshot unless you try to whisper, but this is like a 1-room shop, and so there's not that much space to spread out.
I'll just hold up the sign I took and point, and what we gonna do about this?
I will chew on the sign.
I don't think there's much we can do for right now. I think, well, once Flint's back, then we can talk a little bit more, but we gotta do something, right? So based on the situation that we're all in, we have to solve some problem. I just don't even know where to begin.
Looking at it, because it says alive 30 grand, who or where are we supposed to turn him in alive?
Does it say on the poster?
Yeah, so it was sort of 30,000 alive at the quick glance that you had, but as you sort of inspect it a little bit more, it says by order of the Ember Cloaks. And I think were Flint not a weasel right now, he would know that there are that's being the local police force. So the implication is you just need to turn Flint into the authorities.
Well, if we ever get hard up for money, we know what to do.
It will bite Clax.
Oh, God damn it!
I drop polymorph.
30,000.
Brinstriana looks and sees that you're suddenly in her apothecary and says, "Oh, didn't see you."
Hi.
Or at least she looks up from hammering a closed sign on the door, which is immediately next to the poster outside her, and she says, "Well, I did see you. I just didn't see you here."
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's all just a big practical joke. Don't worry about it.
Right.
It's fine. She's used to working with criminals.
But
She
what-
scoffs a little bit. She's like,
Oh, but
That-
crime is a
that was good.
construct. It's only illegal because the people in power decided it was. It doesn't necessarily mean it's right or wrong. That wasn't a judgment on you.
right. Anyway, is it going to
That
be a
was a good
problem
one.
is the question. It's not... You know, when they came by asking me if I had seen any individuals that resembled this portrait, I of course said no, but they did go door to door this morning and seemed to be highly motivated. I do not believe it to be a practical joke.
How are we getting to the forest or marsh or swamp or whatever that we are going to?
My plan was to leave. I mean, unless you have better means, my assumption was that we would travel the road by foot, leave Flamebridge. Would be a 7-day walk. No, longer, because the DM didn't measure. We're going to the Nightmire, which is about 10 days.
Well, what do you guys think?
Well, getting our airship might be tricky right now.
If you have an airship, it would cut down on the time.
We do.
Well, how implicated are you all in this?
Implicated enough that if I'm any authority, I am locked down the ports as much as possible, and we will probably not easily get in.
Well, how'd that whole encounter go? So, like, Clax, you're definitely implicated. Like, you had a scuffle.
I prefer a kerfuffle.
Kerfuffle. Fair. Mouse immediately turned into a giant eagle? So I'm not clear how much they saw you. Asa just teleported out. Like,
I teleported with you.
yeah.
Yeah, they saw a Minotaur grab you and then leave. And I doubt there's another Minotaur here in the city. Just my hunch.
Oh, they mentioned individuals that would potentially be conspiring with the figure that they are chasing, but they did not offer descriptions to us, in the door-to-door at least. So it may be that there's a record of you all, but at the very least, they don't care to arrest you.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I can hide him for about an hour if that's enough time to get us out of the city, but if you have a more stealthy way to get us out without being implicated, we are very excited to help you with your mission.
Just because you think I'm a criminal doesn't mean I'm stealthy.
Oh no, that was more saying that I know you're incredibly skilled and have a lot of knowledge and things that might be able to help us.
I used to do a lot of smuggling. Do I know Like, do I have any good tricks for like smuggling things or people out of the city? Do I know any like secret ways to get out or anything?
I mean, you know that the roll me an Arcana check.
We've really wanted to put somebody in the bag of holding.
That's
Flint would suffocate.
there we are.
Excuse me. You would know, I think, from your experience, that the big sort of scanning eye that goes over the bridge in Flamebridge, there were certain means at which one could smuggle, but it was never bribery. The security was well paid, and that was not something that really anybody could abide by. The checks to get that to work, also, there's too many people that would fail against. It often, when you would work with the Jade Mask, your methods were often in the container. You would be able to, not through just like illusion magic, but you would sort of have containers that were permitted in a way where they couldn't be opened, and then they were sort of sealed with a type of anti-magic substance. Sometimes that would be lead. If it was I think like you would know that lead would prevent certain divination magics, but then you know that there are more advanced things, but you were never quite sure what you were smuggling, and so you don't know to what level you need to be creating a solution. You don't know if you need the advanced stuff.
Okay. So we could put me in a big lead coffin. Which
might work, is what I'm saying. You don't know.
We could go try and talk to the Jade Mask and see if they would help us, but I'm sure that will have its own cost. Some way or another.
Prince Triana speaks up and says, "Do you have an intention to return to the city? I mean, if you leave and don't come back, we could just go very fast."
I mean, I don't need to come back that I can think of.
I mean, there's a good chance we need to see Arcana again, but Right, we can probably get in contact with him without being here. And I think, if nothing else, if we can get you out of the city, and then it takes us 10 days there and 10 days back, hopefully in 3 weeks everything will have calmed down and all the posters will be gone.
I don't know if I would expect that necessarily. I was gone for multiple years, and they seem to have reinvigorated that search pretty quick.
Prince Triana says 30,000 is considerable, if you don't mind me asking. Why do they find you so valuable?
I did some crafting for them at some point, and then decided I didn't want to anymore.
What were you crafting?
I mean, weapons and stuff.
Well,
What kind of weapons?
Sharp ones? They just wanted better equipment for their little army thing. But I'm guessing, given that they won't be alive, they just want me to go back and do more of that. But I don't know, and I don't want to find out.
Can I perhaps glean how much of that is the full story and how much he's leaving out?
Sure. Roll me an insight check. And then Flint, admittedly, I don't, I know some things and I don't know how much you remember or how much you're playing this up. So I would say you can roll what you think you should roll.
Yeah, I'm not sure what to roll. It's the same either way.
I think you're, I think my read on it is that there are details that you're leaving out.
Yes.
But why don't you see the number of deception or persuasion, and then just roll d20 and add that?
Yeah.
Well, good news is the number's 0.
Okay. just roll d20 then. Okay. Yeah. Flint is leaving something out. You don't like. You sense honesty that he crafted things. You sense that reluctance to share details. And that's probably what you pick up. I don't know. I guess like Flint, what emotion would you attach to that as well?
I don't know if Flint's attaching like a lot of like emotion to it per se. Like he's leaving out details partly because he just doesn't think they're relevant right now, and partly because he doesn't know Brinciana that well and doesn't want to rehash the whole story in front of her or whatever, and is trying to just sort of give the pertinent high-level information.
Okay.
It's not like he's trying to be deceitful or anything.
Yeah. I think that's the emotion you get is like in other company, maybe there's more to say. It's like the now's not the time emotion.
Well, and I think in Flint's mind, for the most part, like everybody here aside from Brinciana knows most of the details in his head anyways.
Well, Brinciana speaks up and says, well, I suppose we have options. We could try to smuggle you out, either ourselves or through favors of the Jade Mask, who you seem to believe would be helpful.
If we wait a day, I can at least like do useful things like make myself invisible and try and fly out of town or something.
You would not want to do that.
No?
Security is, I don't know when you've last been here, but security is heightened in the last few months.
And all their security can see invisible and fly?
I don't have experience trying to navigate it. I just don't trust. I don't trust your idea to be flawless.
Fair enough. I mean, Aesop can teleport me quite a long ways. Probably get me across the river. If we get close enough.
The bridge is more than Dimension Door, I will say.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's a pretty big bridge.
Oh shit.
There's only one way in and out of the city.
There are, of course, very powerful high-level magic that if you... I mean, there are always ways around the bridge, but here's my take on things. This complication has me questioning our business venture. If I'm being candid, seems as if maybe now isn't the best time, or are we just going to make this happen and see what happens?
So here's the thing. If we delay this, would you still be interested in our business venture together? Because we could try and work and resolve what's going on here and come back, but we just don't know what the time frame would be.
I suppose so. And
obviously the big thing is we're putting trust in you because you have a 30,000 gold lien essentially on us right now.
That is true. I don't get what I want by turning you in, but I don't feel secure moving forward if I am to be traveling with a wanted man. It does expose me to being an accomplice in whatever it is that you've been crafting, or whoever you've been crafting it for, and I don't want anything to do with that.
Okay. So if we can clear the bounty,
then I suppose we would. If you can either clear the bounty or find a extremely subtle way to get us all out of here, then I am happy to continue.
in your line of work and with the people you work with, I'm sure you have some kind of foxhole to hide out in. Is that something we could convince you to assist us with that piece at least while we figure out our next steps on how to resolve this amicably for all parties?
If you come back here at night, I will provide shelter, yes.
Turn to the party. How does everybody think about staying in Flamebridge for a little bit?
I mean, sure. Still raises the question of how we get rid of this bounty.
Well, right, the easiest thing is go have a talk with the king or whatever.
He's not a king.
Emperor or whatever. I forget what his title was. Obviously, he's very important to me.
Well, I don't think Ventus, the king of the whole place, is our problem. I think we've got to deal with Pyre?
Yeah, Lord Pyre or whatever. That's the guy
Yeah.
I'm talking about. Yeah, like whatever is.
Well,
Yeah.
whether you settle your debt with Lord Pyre or speak with the Jade Mask or whatever it is, if you manage to find a way out of the city without me, just if you have some means of contacting me, then just let me know and I can meet you outside. But I suppose I will resume my work here for now. And she sort of goes to pull the sign off the door that she had just put on a minute ago and put her stuff down. But we should end the game there because if Drada comes back, that may either provide other opportunities to get out of the city, being as that Drada's super sneaky, or it may avail you to other ideas on what you should be doing while you're in Flamebridge. And because we wanted to end a little early anyway, so.
Sounds good on all fronts.
I think I lean towards going to see the Jade Mask, though, whenever we next convene, unless something changes.
I'm sure that will go over just well as well.
I mean, yeah, what could go wrong?
They're good friends of yours.
Yeah, they surely aren't motivated by 30,000 gold.
Not at all.
Alrighty. Good game.
Indeed.
Absolutely.